Good day. For this meeting, I will then cover chapter 9 of your book, which involves relations. Let me share my PowerPoint presentation to you. So for this meeting, we'll be covering relations. The outline for this lesson covers basic definition involving relations on a set of numbers, different classifications, or the book refers to it as closures of your relations, different operations involving your relations, and special relations. By definition, relation implies the representation using a structure that allows you to join together two different elements that are taken from two different sets. Relations can be used to solve problems such as determining which pairs of cities are linked by airline flights in a network, or producing a useful way to store information in computer database. One of the more effective way to express relationship between two sets is to use an ordered pair made up of two related elements. For this reason, sets of ordered pairs are referred to as binary relations. A binary relation on a set X is a set of ordered pairs of element X. One of the more common example of your relation is actually seen on airline flights. You will notice that in the flight board, there will be two cities that are joined together. Okay. So for example, if you're waiting for a relative or a friend to arrive from the airport, then you often look at the arrival column of the flight board. From there, you will see that there will be two cities joined together. For example, Hong Kong, Manila. So why are these cities joined together? These cities are joined together because they share a relation. There is a certain airline company that offers flight going from Hong Kong to Manila. Therefore, these cities are joined together. Okay? One of the other common example you will see applied on relations is when you enroll at the school, you will notice that your name is automatically associated with a student number. Okay, that student number will now be used to your any transaction you apply at the school. So, for example, you want to add courses to your enrollment for this second term. So you go to the registrar's office and you request for a revision of load. From there, they will ask your student number. Okay. Likewise, if you go to the treasurer to pay up any assessments or bills that you may currently have, okay, then when you approach the treasurer's office, they will eventually ask you for your student number. If you borrow any particular um, book from the library or borrow materials from the laboratory, in the form where you need to fill out again, you will be asked for your student number. So this implies that your student number is associated with all of these tasks that are performed at the school. This also means that your student number will then be related or associated to any task that you might have at the school, grades that you have achieved on past courses. Okay. Uh, uh, Merits that you might have, okay, while doing the program. Okay. So they are all associated with your student number. So the relation now would look like your name associated with your student number. So this is what you call a binary relation. We're trying to relate two different elements and join them together. These two elements may sometimes come from two different sets, like in this case, name. So it comes from a set of alphabet or letters. And then you have a student number, which usually comes from a set of numbers. So your name is actually joined together with a number. Okay. This is referred to as relation. So that structure that allows you to join them together is now referred to as a relation. Another very good example of your relation may be taken from a set of numbers. So for example, the common notation applied for a relation looks something like this, wherein you are given the relation set label. In this case, it's called R. And your relation set, since that is a set, comprises of elements in the set. And the elements on the set, you will notice, comprises of a pair of values referred to as A, comma B. A pertaining to elements found in set A and B pertaining to elements found in set B. So when you look at the relation set, it looks more like a Cartesian product set, wherein your relation set comprises of groups of elements. In this case, it comprises of two different elements called A and B, which come from the set of integers. So what does it mean? A is an integer number joined together with what? B. And what is B? B is also an integer number. So hence this relation is called from the set of integers to the set of integers, wherein this refers to elements on your set A, while this refers to the elements on your set B. So the relation from set A to set B. And set A is what? Set of integers. While set B is what? Set of integers. So again, when you join together two integer numbers, sir, can I just join together any two integer number? Note that on the previous example, names are associated with a student number because they refer to the same person. So this means when you join them together, there's some sort of what? A certain property that allows you to join them together. And in this case, the property given on a standard form of a relation set is this part. This relation implies that the value A must always be equivalent to twice the value of your integer B. So whatever integer A you have, it should be paired with an integer value that is twice the value of your integer B. So the question now would be, what ordered pairs are now seen on your relation set R? So your relation set R will then contain the following ordered pairs. You can have 2, comma 1. You can have -4, -2. You can have 6, comma 3. You can have 8, comma 4. As long as the value of A, integer A, in your given group of elements will always be twice the value of your integer B, those ordered pairs will always be included in your relation set R. Another practical example of a relation may actually be seen on a simple deck of playing cards. So for example, on a deck of playing cards, this time I group together two cards. So my relation contains the following groups. So I have a relation set R containing A. What is A? A card taken from the deck of playing cards. Likewise, I can also have B. B is also a card taken from your deck of cards. And the common property now is the same suit. So what cards can we join together to form the ordered pairs in our relation set R? So you'd end up with the following cards. You could have Ace of Clubs paired with King of Clubs. You could have Queen of Spades paired with Jack of Spades. You could have 10 of Hearts paired with 9 of Hearts. You can even have a pair containing two diamonds with two diamonds. Sir, how is that even possible? I paired two diamonds with two diamonds. There's only one two diamonds on my given deck of playing cards. Note, when you form the relation set, you technically do not remove the card from your given deck. What you do is you list down possible pairs that may be formed out of your given deck of cards. So when I form Ace of Hearts, King of Clubs, it does not necessarily mean that I can no longer use Ace of Clubs and join that together with any other card of clubs. So for example, I can also have in this relation set, Ace of Clubs, Three of Clubs. So you're probably wondering, sir, I already created the pair Ace of Clubs, King of Clubs. Why is Ace of Clubs again made available for the other pair, Ace of Clubs, Three of Clubs? It's because you're not literally removing Ace of Clubs from your deck of cards when you form the group. You simply list down all possible pairs you can create, and that will be included as a member of your relation set as long as they have that property, which is same suit. This is the reason why two of diamonds can be paired with two of diamonds, because you're not literally removing two of diamonds on that deck of cards. Therefore, since I'm making pairs containing same suit, therefore, since they are both diamonds, I could also pair two of diamonds with two of diamonds or with itself. Okay? Another very good example of your relation taken from a deck of cards is this example. Note that the ordered pairs in your relation set does not necessarily have to be pairs, but rather groups of elements. As long as you group together cards, that will be included in your relation set, meaning you're not limited to just pairs of cards. Okay? You can have a group in your relation set that contains two or more elements. This is one such example. For those who do not know the game poker, it's very similar to um, basic winning hands on other card games. So if you're familiar with winning hands on the game Pusoy Dos, or winning hands on uh, Tong Eats, they share common winning hands. Okay. And one particular winning hand there contains two cards, which is referred to as a pair. So when you have a pair, this implies that you have two cards of the same value. For example, Ace of Clubs, Ace of Hearts, Ace of Diamonds, Ace of Spades, Queen of Spades, Queen of Diamonds. As long as they have the same uh, value, you can pair them up together, and that's considered as a winning hand. You can have a winning hand in the game poker comprising of three cards, and that is called three of a kind. So when you have three of a kind, it implies you have managed to group together three cards of the same value. Okay, like three fives, uh, three kings, three tens, etc., etc. Another winning hand form on poker comprises this time of four cards, which is called four of a kind. So when you have four of a kind, this implies you have four cards of the same value: four jacks, four threes, four tens, four kings. Okay. And you can have a maximum of five card combination winning hand in your game poker. And one possible five card winning hand combination you can have is what you call a full house. A full house comprises of a pair of cards and three of a kind. So as long as you have any of these combinations, it's called a full house. Another five card winning combination in your game poker is known as a straight. A straight means you have five cards sequentially ordered in terms of value. It doesn't matter what their suit is, as long as these cards are sequentially ordered. So hence it's referred to as straight. You can also have a five card winning combination comprising of all the same suit. So meaning referred to as what you call a flush. A flush implies that you have five cards and they all belong to the same suit. Doesn't necessarily mean they should have any particular order. Now, if you have both, meaning cards that are sequentially ordered and they are of the same suit, then it's referred to as a straight flush. And finally, you have the last five card winning combination, which is called or referred to as the royal flush. The royal flush implies that you have the five highest value cards, namely the 10, the jack, the king, the queen, and the ace. And they all belong to the same suit, royal flush. So given on this example, you can actually see that your relationship is not limited to just pairs of elements, although that's the simplest way to show relation, no? Pair. However, you can actually have several elements grouped together. This is the reason why we define Cartesian product similar to your relations, because we form groups of elements that may either comprises of two because you're multiplying two sets, three elements in a group because you're multiplying three sets, or more. You can now see the similarity of your Cartesian product with the definition of your relation. Another very good example of your relation can actually be seen on genealogical charts, or what you call family tree. So on this given family tree, you could see examples like grouping names of people having what? The same parent, okay, which are siblings, okay? Group of people that are joined together, group of people that have the same generation, etc., etc. One very good application of your relation is on a set of numbers. So you group together numbers. So if you group together numbers that are taken from the same set, then these pairs of numbers are referred to as an identity relation or equality relation. Now, it's also possible that you cannot form any groups or a relation out of your given sets. Okay? So, one very good example of that is, for example, you're given a set and your set comprises of only very limited elements. For example, it only comprises of 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. From this set, you form a relation set by joining together two elements of that same set. Okay, so that means A comes from this set containing values uh, of numbers. As I mentioned, our for example, our set A comprises only of values 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Okay, and then from there we form a relation. Okay, I'll call the relation set R. Okay, and on my relation set R, I will join together two elements taken from set A. So I will then form what you call a relation from set A to set A. Okay, and my relation set called R will now comprise of two elements that will both be taken from set A. However, this time, my property involves even numbers. Ayan daw yung property ko. So I will join together two elements from set A that are both even numbers. Unfortunately, since my set A only contains odd numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, therefore, I will then end up with what you call a null or empty relation. So ang tawag doon, trivial relation, void relation, or empty relation, which basically is a relation that consists of no elements. Nakuha ba? Which can also be represented based on the symbol applied on our sets, which is this, which is called the empty set. Okay? And at the same manner, a universal relation this time consists of all possible ordered pairs of elements that can be formed from your given set. So any possible ordered pair that you can create is all included on this given set. And it's then referred to as a universal relation. A binary relation from A to B is often referred to as a subset of A times B. And as we have seen, based on our Cartesian product, the definition of your relation. Okay, this means that the ordered pairs we form on our given relation set is much like the ordered pairs you form when you multiply A with B. This means the first element of each group of ordered pair always comes from set A, whereas the second element of each group of your relation set comes from set B, given or denoted by the form A comma B. Okay. So one very good example I lifted from the book is something like this. I have set A containing values 0, 1, and 2. And then I have set B containing values A and B. We then form a relation set from A to B. So what ordered pairs can we create out of our given set A and set B? So you could form the relation set containing 0, comma A, 0, comma B, 1, comma A, 2, comma B. Hello? You will notice that on each of these ordered pair given in your relation set, the first element always comes from set A, joined together with an element taken from set B. Follow? Okay. You might be inquiring right now that, sir, isn't it possible to create 1, comma B on this relation set? Yes. Sir, isn't it also possible to create the ordered pair 2, comma A in this relation set? Again, the answer there is yes. However, you will note that only ordered pairs that satisfy your given property are the ones included in your relation set. Meaning, if that relation set contains this given particular ordered pair, like for example, 0, comma A, this means that 0 is related to A. However, since your relation set does not contain 1, comma B, therefore it means 1 is not related to B. Always remember, not every possible ordered pair that can be formed from your given sets, in this case A and B, may likely be seen in your relation set. Nasundan? So, only ordered pairs that do satisfy your property are the ones seen in your relation set. Okay? So, there are different ways of expressing your relation. One very simple way of expressing your relation is writing down in pairs. Another way to express your relation is by representing them graphically. So, for example, I have that relation set from A to B containing the following ordered pairs. How do I represent this graphically? So when you graph elements in discrete math, they will simply look like dots or nodes joined together with arrows. So your relation from set A to set B will have two columns, one for set A and another column for set B. And then listing down vertically elements that are seen on your given sets, denoted by nodes or dots. And then they are joined together by arrows, looking like this. Oh, um, there's a slight misalignment. So, na-misalign lang, no? So, okay. So as you can see, all elements on my set A are denoted as nodes labeled 0, 1, and 2. All elements of set B are denoted as nodes on the single column, denoted as A and B, which are both represented as nodes or dots, no? And they have arrows pointing them. So what do these arrows mean? So the relation 0, comma A is now represented by this arrow here, pointing from 0 going to A, because the relation is from set A to set B. So you end up with an arrow pointing from coming from set A going to set B. In this case, coming from the node 0 going to the node A. So that represents relation 0, comma A. The other arrows represents the other relations 0, comma B, 1, comma A, and 2, comma B. Likewise, you could always also represent relations using a table. When you tabulate the relation, in this case, from our given relation set, it would appear something like this. So the elements on your rows represents elements from set A, while elements in your columns represents elements from set B. And on the cell where these elements eventually intersect, so basically if we provide rows for each element on your set A, you would have something like this. If I provide columns for every element on set B, you'd have something like this. And from there, you will notice that on the cell where these elements eventually intersect is simply marked with X if they are related or included in your relation set. Follow? So that's how you represent relations in a table. Note that you can form a relation from set A to set A, meaning you group together elements that are both taken from the same set, which means it becomes a subset of A times A. So when you form subsets of A times A, you will notice that the maximum groups that you can only form would be equivalent to the product of the elements coming from set A, the number of elements coming from set A. For example, my set A comprises A, B, and C, and I form a relation set from set A to set A. Okay? How many possible groups can I have? The maximum possible groups that you could have would only be 9 groups, 9 pairs. Okay? That is for your universal relation. So your universal relation can only have a maximum of what? 9 combination pairs. But as I mentioned, it does not necessarily mean that your relation set, which is not a universal relation, no, may have all of these ordered pairs. So as you've seen on this given example, my relation set only contains the following ordered pairs. I have A, comma A, comma B, A, comma C. Okay. This is another example I lifted from the book. I have a relation set which contains specific values 1, 2, 3, and 4, and from which we create ordered pairs from A to B. Okay, so let's form a relation set this time from set A to set A, this means my A comes from set A and the element B also comes from set A. With this given property, B divides A with an integer quotient. So this means if I divide A with B, I end up with an integer quotient, similar to the form A over B. So what possible ordered pairs can we have? We can have 1, comma 1. 1 divided by 1 is an integer. What else? We could have the ordered pair 2, comma 1. 2, comma 1, or 2 divided by 1, obviously, is an integer quotient. You could have the ordered pair 2, comma 2, 3, comma 1, 3, comma 3, 4, comma 1, 4, comma 2, and 4, comma 4. Follow? You will notice that, sir, isn't it possible that I form on this relation set, since one element comes from set A and the other element comes from the same set, set A pa rin, isn't it possible to form 1, comma 2 there? 1 is taken from set A, 2 is also taken from set A. Diba, sir? 1, comma 2. Isn't that possible? Yes, that is possible on this relation set. However, it will not be included on our given relation set R. Why? Because on your given relation set R, the only ordered pairs seen there must have that given property, that B divides A, and it should have an integer quotient. Only disordered pairs are seen now on your relation set, because 1, comma 2 does not satisfy that property. If I divide 1 with 2, the answer is not an integer. Okay? So, only these following ordered pairs are seen in your relation set. And as I mentioned, we can represent that as graphically like this, or you can tabulate that and represent it something like this. Okay? This is another example taken from the same set, set A, containing values 1 to 4. This time, I form an ordered pair relation wherein this time A divides B. So it's like B over A. I'm dividing B with A. And again, the quotient must be an integer. So what possible ordered pairs can I have on my given relation set? You can only have the following ordered pairs. You could have 1, comma 1, 1, comma 2, 1, comma 3, 1, comma 4, because if I divide 4 with 1, the answer is an integer, right? B over A. Nako ba? You could have 2, comma 2, 2, comma 4, 3, comma 3, and finally 4, comma 4. Only disordered pairs satisfy your given property. So again, I can represent that as a graph like this. Or as a table like this. You can also represent relations using matrices. A relation between finite sets can be represented as a 0-1 matrix. When we say 0-1 matrix, it implies that the elements in our given matrix are only zeros and 1. And if you have a relation from A to B, wherein your set A comprises of the elements A1, A2, all the way to AM, and your set B comprises of elements labeled as B1, B2, all the way to Bn, then the relation R is represented by your given matrix, wherein the elements on your matrix would be 1 if AI, comma, BI is an ordered pair seen in your relation set or an element of your relation set. And 0 if the ordered pair AI-BI is not seen on your relation set. Note that when you place zeros and ones in your given relation matrix, it follows that A pertains to your row and B pertains to your column. Okay, so in a matrix representing 1 in your relation matrix, it basically implies that the row value I and the J column value entry pertains to AI that is related to your element B. Okay, and 0 if your A is not related to B. Okay, so given this example, suppose you have set A containing values 1, 2, and 3, and set B containing values 1 and 2, and you form a relation from A to B. Okay, you end up having the following ordered pairs in your relation set. So you have 2, 1, 3, 1, and 3, 2. Okay, 2, 1, 3, 1, and 3, 2. Okay, so how would I represent that relation set containing only 2, 1, 3, 1, and 3, 2? So you represent them like this. Okay, you would see that the element found or located on the first row, first column is 0. It's because there is no element 1, comma 1 in my relation set. Okay, therefore it's represented as 0. You will notice that the first row, second column element in your given relation matrix is also 0. Why, sir? Because there is no ordered pair 1, comma 2 in your given relation matrix. So the first element will always pertain to your row. The second element will always pertain to your column. So since we have 2, comma 1 in our relation set, therefore there is a value of 1 located on the second row, first column. There is a value of 1 located on the third row, first column. There is a value of 1 located on the third row, second column on your matrix. Then the rest are zeros. Follow? Okay. So if I have this corresponding set A containing elements A1, A2, A3, and set B containing the following elements B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, which ordered pairs in your relation is represented by this given relation matrix. So in your relation matrix, you have the following elements that are zeros and the following elements that are ones. And these elements that are ones are present in your relation matrix. So if we convert that as ordered pairs, what ordered pairs are now seen on our relation set? So the ordered pairs in your relation set comprises of A1, B2, A2, B1, A2, B3, A2, B4, A3, B1, A3, B3, and A3, B5. Follow? So this is A1, B2. A1, B2. Okay. This is A2, B1. A2, so first row is always A1. Second row is now always A2. And then the first column is always B1. So A2, B1. Follow? Okay. You can also likewise represent relations using what you call digraphs. So what are digraphs? A digraph is called a directed graph for short, which consists of a set of vertices or nodes together with your set of edges or basically referred to as arrows because on your relation, edges or lines look like arrows, di ba? The vertex A is called your initial vertex, which is where your arrow comes from. And vertex B is called your terminal vertex, which is the vertex where your directed edge points to. Note that you can represent relations using digraphs only if relations come from set A to set A. So if you have an edge pointing from element A to element A, going back to element A, that edge is referred to as a loop. This is one such example lifted from the book. I have a relation taken from set A, comprising of A, B, C, and D. Okay. And my relation set comprises of the following ordered pairs: AB, AD, BB, BD, CA, CB, and DB. So it will now appear something like this. Note, you can actually draw your given directed graph in any particular order of vertices you prefer. Okay, so I can actually redraw this relation graph in a different manner. So okay lang. Okay, as long as I create a directed edge on these given relations, which are taken from my given set. Okay, this is another example I lifted from the book. Which of the following given relations include the corresponding ordered pairs? The relations formed here are taken from set A, which comprises of the set of integers, to set A. So this means we're grouping together two integer numbers. So if you look at the following ordered pairs, I have relation R1 containing ordered pairs wherein A is always less than or equal to B. I have a relation R2 taken from set A to set A, comprising of ordered pairs wherein A is greater than B. I have relation R3, which contains a pair of integer numbers, wherein A is equal to B or A is equal to negative B. Then I have a relation called R4, wherein it contains a pair of integers, wherein A is simply equal to B. And R5, relation R5, containing a pair of integers, wherein A is equal to B plus 1. And finally, I have a relation referred to as R6, wherein I have a pair of integers, A and B, and the property is that A plus B is less than or equal to 3. So from these given relations, R1 to R6, we will then validate which of the corresponding pairs listed here is included in which relation set. For example, 1, 1. The ordered pair 1, 1 can only be included in relation R1, R3, R4, and R6. Relation R2 doesn't contain the ordered pair 1, 1. Relation R5 doesn't include the ordered pair 1, comma 1. Okay? Because their properties do not allow that ordered pair in your relation set. The next ordered pair is 1, 2. 1, 2 is included only on relations R1 and R6. Okay, that's it. No other relations include 1, comma 2. Next ordered pair, 2, comma 1. 2, comma 1 is included on R2, R5, and R6. The next ordered pair is 1, negative 1, which is included in R2, R3, and R6. And finally, 2, 2. Ordered pair 2, 2 is only included in relation R1, R3, and R4. That's it. There are no other relations that includes the ordered pair 2, comma 2. So that covers first our discussion on relation. I'll continue on the discussion regarding operations in your relations on next meeting. That's it for now, guys. Thank you very much for listening.